So I don't know what I want. Well, how would I choose what I want?
Okay, so we sell quite a few guns. Obviously, we have a huge selection. We're going to talk about a little bit more in detail of why you would choose one over the other. There's just a few things that you need to know. When you are choosing a gun, you want to choose a gun that's right for you. Don't choose a gun because your best friend has it or that's what your husband says you have to get. You just want to follow a few rules. You want to choose a gun that you're going to carry so it's not too heavy. And you got to plan on what you normally wear or dress. If you normally wear tight fit clothing, a big full-size gun is probably not going to be the gun for you. So there's a kind of some checks and balances of, if you go with a smaller gun, sometimes smaller frame, you tend to lose knockdown power and accuracy. However, there are some guns that now are out on the market that are really very accurate, and we also want you to choose the caliber that's right for you. We all hear, 45 has got the most knockdown power. While though that is true, it's not right for everyone, because if you can't hit the broadside of the barn with a 45 caliber, we need to get a gun that you're going to feel comfortable shooting. The smaller in caliber you go, usually less recoil, so you feel more comfortable shooting. We can always build you up to that caliber. So when they judge knockdown power, it's a scale of 0 to 15. They want you at a 7. So a 9mm is right there at a 7. Usually a 380 is around a 5, and then your 45 is around a 12. So when they do say 45 has more knockdown power, there is truth to that. However, if you can't hit the broadside of the barn, like I said, it's not going to do it. And if you are afraid to shoot the gun and you don't enjoy it, then you're never going to practice. And we like to say at Root Tactical, you can rise to your level of training or you can fall. And if you don't ever train, then you're going to fall. So I've got Chaz here. Chaz is one of the employees here at the store that works. He's going to kind of take you through our top sellers that we sell and explain a little bit about each gun.
So hello, I'm Chaz. I'm here at L&L. I'm the guy that gets to order all the cool stuff. I take care of all the ordering in-house. Anything new that comes out, I'm usually one of the first ones to know about it. So like Joey said, basically you can just jump off into a gun and maybe be scared of it or not ever use it. The idea of that is just to like he said, just to rise to what you're comfortable with. 380s are primarily what most women like. So the Bodyguard 380 is a gun that's been around for a while. It's a great little gun. Holds 6+1. They do make extended mags for it. They are a single stack, so they're only going to stack up singles, why they don't have much capacity. So the cool thing about the Bodyguard is, it sounds crazy, but it has a terrible trigger. So the idea of having a terrible trigger, it has a long double action pull. It just makes some women feel comfortable knowing they have to really pull the trigger to get it to engage fire. So it does have a manual thumb safety as well. So that was the kind of the hype of 380s for a while. That and Ruger LCP2s or LCP1s. Since then, I think the cry out for women was having a hard time racking the slide on guns. So and even elderly people or some people that just have maybe arthritis or tough things like that. So Smith & Wesson came out with a gun called the Smith & Wesson Easy 380. This gun has an easy spring in it. As you can tell, like, it's super easy. I can do that with my thumb. The cool thing about this was it was an 8-round mag, so 2 more rounds is always great. These come with or without a manual thumb safety, which is ambidextrous for left or right-handed people. So the idea with this gun was just to help women or anybody really in that matter that has a hard time racking the slide to chambering the round. So this was a huge cry to what they thought the market was missing, and it has exceeded all expectations. This gun has been a great seller. So that being kind of the 380 line, there's also a 380 in this gun here, which is the Kimber Micro 9. They also make one called the Kimber Micro, which is the 380. Once again, though, you're limited to 6 or 7 rounds, and it's just great caliber. There's nothing wrong with the 380 at all. It just depends on what you're comfortable and ready for. So there's kind of an old tale that 380s aren't enough. When you compare apples to apples, Hornady Critical Defense makes a bullet called a 380 bullet in a Hornady Critical Defense that is 90 grains and shoots 1,000 feet per second. and then the 9mm is 115 grains and shoots 1,100 feet per second. So not real big of a difference when you're comparing good quality ammo to each other. So past the 380 side, probably the most common round out there is a 9mm. It's the most readily available. You can find 9mm basically anywhere. Even through this crisis, we've had quite a bit of ammo in stock, and it have actually never really went a day without 9mm. So thankfully, so let me skip this gun for a minute. So what became kind of another cry for people was, man, I just wish they made this a 9mm. So about a year and a half later, Smith & Wesson came out with the Easy 9. So this is the Easy 380 and now the Easy 9. The Easy 9 holds 8 rounds as well. The cool thing with both of these guns is they have an extra safety, which is kind of like a 1911 safety, a palm safety, that has to be engaged in order for that gun to go off. This one does not have a safety, but they do come either way. This particular gun does not have a thumb safety. So that's been a pretty popular gun.
So on that, on this grip safety here, a lot of people are like, well, that's something, you know, some people are frown upon that, but if you're holding a gun properly and grabbing it high every time, you're never going to have to worry about that.
It's just going to be a second nature. You don't have to actually constantly think about, I've got to grip this harder for the safety to engage. It's just, like you said, if you're holding a gun like you're supposed to, when you hold that gun, in order to not have a limp wrist or somebody not be able to take the gun away from you, that is engaged. It's just an extra thing. If it's in your purse or something, you know, and a kid got a hold of it, like, there has to be a lot of things that go down for this gun to go off. So it just makes it a safety feel. Like for the thumb safety, they have to actually have this engaged. So it can't just be like, you know, just accidental discharge or less common with that palm safety. I'd say probably 3 or 4 years ago, before the 365 came out, one of the #1 selling guns was the Glock 43. However, this is a 43X, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the Glock 43 before was just a 6 or 7 round capacity. So, and everybody was just thinking, like, if we could have a gun that size but have more rounds, in the heat of the moment, needing more rounds, wouldn't that be a great idea? So Sig Sauer basically heard this cry and were like, we're coming up with a gun called the P365. They named it that because they believe this gun is for every day of the year, 365 days a year. This is the #1 selling gun in America, and definitely at L&L. They have since then come out with a few different models, safety, non-safety, XLs, which are 12 rounds. These hold 10 rounds here, 10+1. They also make extended mags that hold either 12 or 15 rounds. So you get a lot of bang for your buck in the palm of your hand, where its competitors and the predecessors at that time were only 6 or 7 rounds and maybe an 8 round every now and then, or had long, extended, goofy looking magazines. Well, they figured out how to make this a double stack or a stack and a half to have more rounds but not take up much more space. Where a magazine like this, if it were 10 or 12 rounds, would have to be, like, you know, extremely tall. So they figured out how to make this compact but fatter, obviously, like, which is old technology, started a long time ago, but they figured out how to do it in the palm of your hand. So they were I would say Sig Sauer, I'm going to give them the credit, was the ones that put their name on the board to, like, how small can you make your gun with how many rounds can you get in it. So then the answer to Sig Sauer in the 365 was the Springfield Hellcat. I don't have one right now, and they're actually kind of hard to get our hands on, but we've sold a lot of Springfield Hellcats. They're a great gun as well. They have a little bit different design in the sights, but they also hold either 12+1 or 13+1. Really good gun. So since then, it was just funny to watch all these companies just come alongside and be like, what can we do to do something like Sig's doing, or what can we do to do something like Springfield's doing? So Glock also, even before the Hellcat, released their version, which was basically a stretched out 43. So they had the 43X, or the 43, and then they came out with the 43X, X standing for 10. So this is a 10 round mag. So that was their answer. And I'm not saying Glock didn't do a good job. I mean, it's a great selling gun, but you can just kind of see the difference in size. They just didn't really just hit it out of the park when it comes to actual size. They're quite a bit bigger still. Since then, a company called Shield Arms has come out with a magazine that actually lets this hold 15 rounds. So Shield Arms makes a 15 round magazine. So that's a nice concept, 15+1. And then, like I said, the Hellcat came out, and then since then we've been watching guns come out. Smith & Wesson just come out with one called a Shield Plus. We actually have one here, I think, somewhere. So to watch Sig just knock this out of the park, and then everybody else is like, what can we do to get our hands on that market? What can we do to make a gun as small as we can and hold as many rounds as possible? So here's a Shield Plus, which looks a lot like the regular Shield that everybody's used to that's been out for years, but they widened the magazine once again. So this gun here holds 13+1. A great concept. This literally just came out like I think a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. We just got one in a couple days ago. Ruger also answered that same question. They made one called the Security 9, which is a pretty good gun, but a little bit more bulky and heavy. So it wasn't quite capturing the audience that in the market that the 365 and the Hellcat and the 43X and all these were. But they just came out with this one called the Max 9. So this is a good little gun that literally just came out as well. It holds 10+1. It's in that ballpark size in a sense of thinness. And what's cool is the Max 9 only comes milled out for sights. It is optic sight prepared, are readily available for reflex sights such as this idea here if you want to do that style. So this has been a great gun. We've only sold a few so far. Like I said, we just got them in this week. But basically you're looking at some of the top sellers. Kimber, even though they don't hold very many rounds, this is more like a baby 1911 without a palm safety. So this is a single action gun. You actually have to cock it in order to fire it. So these are all double action. But this is just kind of a classy look, and they make a lot of different features and colors, but a cool gun. Kimber just kind of has the name of, Kimber's motto is what every gun should be. So they're kind of a pristine crowd for their market.
So let me just interject real quick. So when he says single action versus double action, so single action, if you think about it, it does one action. So you have to manually cock back the hammer or the striker, whether you manually cock it back or you rack the slide back. And it's only going to do one action. As you pull that trigger, it's going to release the hammer forward or the striker forward. That's all it's going to do. A double action, it does two things. So as you pull the trigger, it's usually a longer, heavier trigger press, and as it comes back, it's going to pull the hammer back, and then it's going to release it. So it's going to do two actions. So these are things that you need to know when you come to buy a gun, because when you come to the gun, they're going to say, well, do you want a single action trigger, a double action trigger, or do you want a single action and double action trigger? Because there are both. A good example of that would be a revolver. So a revolver with an external hammer on it, you can pull the trigger and it would cock the hammer back and release it, being in double action mode, or you can manually put it in single action mode by you manually cocking back the hammer. And then usually there's like a 1/16 inch of a pull, and it's a lot less, it's not that longer, heavier trigger press than in double action mode. So these are just things to know. You can do your homework or just ask. When someone says, there's no dumb questions. I'd rather you ask, especially when it comes to guns, and get the gun that's right for you. Because when you come in and we're sitting here talking single action trigger, double action trigger, say, hey, what is that? Or you're like, hey, what is this? You say grip safety. What is that? What's a grip safety? What's a manual safety? Or what's that? And then if you really like a gun, ask about it. Say, hey, what does this slide? What does this thing do right here? And don't feel like there's a question that you're not going to be able to, it's going to be too dumb, because there's not. We get a lot of questions in here. We're used to it. We're more than happy to help you out. We're more than happy to fit the gun to you, not you to the gun. Just because you see a gun, you like the color, the way it looks, we can Cerakote the color, the gun any color you want. Don't get a gun that the caliber's too much because your friend says. You want to get something that you feel, one, you can afford, because usually the higher in caliber you go, the higher the price. Two, you want a gun that you can control and it doesn't scare you, because if it scares you, you're never going to shoot it. And shooting should be about fun. It should be fun, it should feel great, and we should fit your hand to the gun. And here at L&L, that's what we do. We don't just sell you a gun because, hey, that's what's on the shelf. I can't tell you how many times someone was wanting this gun, and I've said, okay, gun's nice, but let's fit it to you. Look, your finger doesn't even hit the trigger, so you're going to be missing. And they're like, oh. And so I do firearms instructing here, and I do one-on-one classes, and I can't tell you how many times they bring their gun in, and I'm like, well, is that your gun or your husband's gun? They're like, oh, that's my husband's gun. Well, then we bring that gun in, and they're missing the target. Well, no wonder. So we say, we're not going to shoot that gun today. We fit them, either Chaz, me, Laramie, anybody in the staff will fit you to the gun, or the gun to you, not you to the gun. And then we'll take you into the range and actually let you fire the gun. And then we, if I'm here or Chaz is here, we'll take you in the range, give you a few pointers, and then, 9 times out of 10, we've already corrected what you've been having a mistake with. And so again, I think that's what pushes a lot of people away from the gun world is they shot one gun and it was their dad's gun, and usually their dad's playing a trick because it's a gun that will kick. Lisa can tell you a story later on about her father, but it's one of those things, and then it scares the person, and then they're like, guns are bad and all that. No, guns can actually be really enjoyable shooting. So that's just some of the things that you need to think about when you come in. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We're more than welcoming. We're just glad that a new gun owner is coming in, and yes, we'll take the time to spend all the time we need. If it takes an hour, that's fine, because we want you to be a responsible gun owner, and we want you to be a safe gun owner, and then we want you to be able to enjoy it and hopefully get other people into this fun sport.
Yeah, I mean, you could start with the 22. I mean, the 22 that you're comfortable with versus a 45 that you're scared to death to hold is the difference of life or death if it comes to that situation. I mean, people think 22s aren't enough. I agree, they're not quite enough in comparison, but if you're comfortable with it and you can shoot it good, start there, work your way up to whatever you want. 22s are fun. They're cheap to shoot. They're a lot of fun. You can have some match shoots with your friends and family. So, I mean, whatever you're comfortable with. I mean,
and at 22, it can still get the job done. Yes,
Absolutely.
It doesn't have the not giving power, but been a paramedic for 20 years, and I've taken care of, unfortunately, people who have been shot by a 22 and they have passed away. So a 22, it can get the job done. I don't care if it's a BB gun. You're pointing a gun at me, I'm running the other way. So, it's one of those things of I'd rather need it or have it and not need it than need it and not have it. The good thing about guns is they're an equalizer. If there's an 80-year-old woman and a 25-year-old male breaks into this woman's house and she has a gun, guess what? It just put them both on the same playing field. If she does not have a gun, all bets are off. So, if you are looking for your next gun, come down to L&L, come see me or Chaz, and we'll get you taken care of.
I think that was really awesome. They answered all the questions. Check it out.
You want to see what you think about some of these?
Sure.
We'll hold this one. So that's the 6 hour 365. Like the way it feels.
Yeah, it's nice. So tell me the difference between this and what I have now.
So you had got the XL. So the XL, one of the benefits is yours holds more rounds. This one is a 12 plus one. That's a 10 plus one. So you got a few more rounds.
Oh, you're a smart man. Okay.
And then yours is about an inch longer. So the longer that the bullet can be in the chamber and down the barrel, the more times it spins, the more accurate it'll be coming out. So a little bit more accuracy in there. So the one thing I like about this is the grip is a little bit longer than here. Some people, they just can't, that grip doesn't feel. And again, shooting is all about feel. So if it doesn't feel right, then it's not, it could throw you off shooting. This has a little bit longer grip. So it's just, I got a little bit bigger hand, so it's a good feel for me. That's what I like about this gun. But yeah, so there's, all kinds of stuff. One thing's in common though that I would like to hit on real quick is how to grip a gun, the proper way to grip a gun, because if you're not gripping it right, then you coming and holding all these guns isn't gonna mean anything. So just real quick on how you grip a gun. You wanna grab high up on the gun as you possibly can. If you could hold a gun like this and shoot it, you would, because that gun wants to come straight back. The lower on the gun I go, the more this can happen. So the second best place I can grip is right here. So you want to grab a good high grip under the gun. All your fingers are high under the trigger guard, just like this. Okay, I'm going to point this up here. So you have here, this right here, you have all this open space right here. You're going to take the palm of your other hand, and imagine, I like to tell people, imagine you're shaking someone's hand. I don't shake someone's hand like this. I shake it like this. So if I'm holding the gun here and I just come out to shake someone's hand, look how that naturally just fits right in here. So as it naturally fits, my fingers are gonna go underneath the trigger guard. My finger and thumb are gonna be about the same height, okay? And then my dominant thumb is gonna be over my non-dominant thumb. Do not cross your thumbs like this. I can't tell you how many times that slide's come back and bit people, but here at L&L we have a first aid kit, and I can't tell you how many times we get Band-Aids out. So you want to put your dominant thumb over your non-dominant thumb, and your thumbs are just there. They're not pressing against the gun, they're just there resting. And then as far as you grip, as how hard you grip, we like to say, are you self-defense training or are you bullseye shooting? Because if you're self-defense training and I'm coming at you with a knife, do you think you're going to grip that gun pretty tight, or do you think you're just going to be like, oh, I'm going to grip it 70%, 30%? No, you're going to be gripping it pretty tight. And like I was telling Lisa the other day in class, we're no longer just bullseye shooting, we're self-defense training. And so part of that training is just getting to know that. But that's just basically the basic way to how to grip a gun. Once you know that, you come in the store and we can show you how to do that too if you forget. But come in the store, you feel the gun that's right for you, and then hopefully we can fit the gun to you and not you to the gun.
And these are beautiful. They're so beautiful. When we were filming the other day, I remember thinking as I was looking at the video before it went up, the video doesn't really capture just how really beautiful they are in person. They are amazing. Yeah.
So
Cool designs.
Yep. So now that we got your background check done, got your gun all picked out for you, let's go to the range and let's do a few drills.
Yay, let's do it.